And we're live. Hello, Fritz.
Hello, this is fun.
Yeah,
Thanks
today we're
for
trying
inviting me.
something new. Yes, of course. We don't know if we're going to do more than one of this, but we discussed a little bit of an idea. You've been working on a side project with React, and we decided
True.
to try it out together. Do you want to tell us something about it?
Yeah, so I suppose I can share my screen in a moment, but I've been doing some uh, like part-time React development for various clients. Like I'm usually a back-end person, and obviously backends interact with front ends, and sometimes I don't know, someone needs to like make the button purple or something like that, or be able to say like the problem is your request to my API has the wrong parameters. Here's what they should be, that kind of thing. So it is helpful to know a bit of the front end stuff, um, and uh, also sometimes there's just uh, it's nice to have a multidisciplinary team, and it's not nice to have bottlenecks. So if I can fix something when there's nobody else around, it's nice to have that ability to do so. So I've been teaching myself a bit of React, and where I've been doing that is by finding a little project to play with that is to do with my super nerdy uh, 90s card game hobby. And the motivation to be able to do well at that makes me also interested in this side project in a different way. So
Very
learning
nice.
from two angles.
Very, very nice. Do you want to demo that now? Maybe start by demoing
Uh,
the end product.
sure. So like I said, this is a card game from the 90s. Some watchers may know of a card game called Magic the Gathering. This is sort of like that, unless you know the genre of card game well, in which case this game is nothing like that. Um, but something they do have in common is that like there's thousands of cards, and you choose like say 100 cards to play with um, on any given day, and so this tool is about choosing those cards and like getting some stats on how they work together. Um, so I've got some stats on like cards will have a cost. Um, there's a little visualization. Different cards have different characteristics. So I've got like counts of those. So as I change the number of cards of a certain type around, I might update these counts, that kind of thing. And I'll want to see how those numbers balance out against these mission cards that are here. But understanding the domain won't be so important for today. What I want to get right today is to use Google Drive API to save data for users, because right now this app is entirely backendless. There's no database or persistence, at least. So I'd like to keep it that way. Like I don't want to spend money on having a hosted database somewhere. And it feels like it really should be possible to do something like this for free. Like a lot of people have Google accounts. A lot of them have Google Drive with some space in there like allocated to them for free. And like I'm only writing a few kilobytes of text at a time. Like let's just store it there, and then they have their data in their control, and not on a server of mine.
That sounds nice. I like the approach of keep it. It's a game. It's probably enthusiasts playing the game, so it should be their data.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you're starting with Google Drive, but perhaps not everyone has Google accounts. But that would be I'm guessing that's a secondary concern or a
Yeah,
problem for later on.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, right now the app just uses local storage, so people can use it as they want. But so Google Drive is just like show that it works, and if it works well and people use it, I've got some metrics in the back end. Well, in the platform that's hosting this, which is Vercel. If people do use it, maybe I can implement some other assistance providers somehow.
When you say you have metrics, is it general data about hits on the page? What is it?
Yeah, it's things like so one of the features here is a search. So I can see like I can see what searches people have been running, or I can, and like that would also allow me to draw inference from things people are struggling with. Like if people are coming up with 0 results all the time, I can go look at these search queries to see what they might be getting wrong or what might need to be more clearly laid out, that kind of thing.
All right. And specific to how we want to proceed today, we're going to be streaming for about 2 hours. And in about an hour, we'll take a 5-minute break and continue later. But Fritz, what do you want to take us to the code? How should we proceed?
Yeah. So I will start here. So I've been hacking with the code as a way of like shortening my feedback loop. So you can see this little text up here that really means nothing to anyone but me. It's not checked in. This is just running on my local machine. That is tied to a sign-in. So let's do this. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see if I can do that off
What I
screen.
can do is just remove remove your screen for a little while.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe
I
you
suppose
could.
in theory, I could have dragged it off the screen. Anyway.
Because we don't see your screen right now, can you walk us through what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm just looking up the password for the Google account I want to use in my macOS keychain. It just takes a little bit of searching because there are a lot of Fritz at items in the keychain. And a fair number of accounts.google entries.
Yeah. For people joining us, feel free to drop in the chat to say hi, ask questions anytime, and we're happy to have the discussion also with you.
Cool. I'm just doing the 2-factor auth here. Okay. Okay, so we can come back to the screen. So what you see now is just I've just in my React component, I've just outputted some stuff from the response from Google Auth. That's just shows that I'm like logged in. And then if we go back here, so I've got these two buttons here, also just local, not representative of any useful feature. My intention is to use this button to generate some text on the Google Drive. And this button I will slowly turn into a pop-up for browsing the files that I've created on the drive. So let's find that. So I'll just show you that button. So this is the write new file button, and this is the nothing button. And then the write new file button is writing to drive. It's sending this method posts, and it's including credentials that have been passed around by the app on the request. And all it's doing is writing that file to the to drive. Yeah.
Nice. I was going to ask. I was going to put my product, my developer hat on, and wondering before here we're looking, of course, at the code. How do you approach the development of this feature overall? Do you start from the interface? Did you have a certain flow in mind, or are you more researching the APIs first before you design a user flow?
Yeah, I started with proof of concept code, which let's see what I have written here. I may have thrown away already. Let's see, or I may have committed it because it's not. Yeah, here we go. So what I did is I wrote APIs messily, and then I called those APIs from a component, and that's I've iterated a few times, but that's kind of where I am now. Is I've got a component that interacts with APIs that I control that communicate with Google Drive.
Nice. So is it fair to say that you're still at the technical research phase?
Yeah, definitely. I proved that I could write and read somewhere in this code, unless I've actually thrown it away. I have, I do still. Okay, it looks like I still have some data that shows. Sorry, I just like hard coded somewhere in one of my components. I've got some code that reads the content of the Google Drive as well. So it might actually be worth looking at the Chrome console to see where I did that. Let's see this stuff. This is API stuff. This is all node packages. Okay. Yeah, maybe I've thrown that code away.
I have a meta question about the tooling you're using right now. Can you explain a little bit? Because I'm not an Emacs user.
Sure. Okay. So the what you're seeing right now is I think the most popular Emacs client for Git. And so yeah, it's nice for seeing changes inside my editor and so on. And it's got some cool features that will probably come up. And then I use Emacs in evil mode, which is like emulating Vim key bindings. So if I'm in a file and I'm moving up and down, I'm pressing HJKL, home row navigation, and so on. And this is all a product of having started, I spent quite a few years investing in Vim tooling, and then watching a talk by somebody who said that they started using Emacs with Vim emulation instead of Vim, and I was sold.
Very interesting. Maybe we can find a link to that talk and post it later.
Yeah. I wonder, and I think it may actually have been a thoughtbot person, but this was before I joined thoughtbot. Okay, so what I wanted was to find, I think that in this file, no, I was wrong. I was hoping that I would have somewhere a demonstration of a successful call to the Google Drive API, which might have logging. Yes, okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, so this component that we're looking at the moment runs, and this code runs when one of my pages starts up. And I was using this to check out, is my API working? Have I authenticated properly and so on? So what it does is first it gets a list of what's on the Google Drive and logs that to the console. Then it writes something to the drive, and then again it reads from the drive, and that lets me check what is like, have I been successful in writing to the drive?
It's very interesting. To me, this looks like an integration test.
Yeah. Yeah.
An actual integration test against a live API.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. So, and I have not added any tests to this project yet. So you're right. That's exactly what this is. This is like a fast feedback loop without setting up tests. Tests have been an interesting thing for me on this project because although I really like tests, it does feel different when I'm the one writing, excited to get the features. Like I could add tests, or I could get that feature that I want. And it can be quite hard to keep track of, like, is this something that is going to, is getting that shiny new feature going to be worth delaying the improvement of my feedback loops? And even though I get the next feature faster, but the fifth feature after this is probably going to be slower than if I just stop to write tests now. But YOLO.
Yeah. Does that mean that the barrier to writing tests right now is too high?
Yeah, too high or too far away emotionally. Like I've never had tests to a React project. I've used tests that other people have set up and written my own tests, but I've never added a whole testing layer. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Do you feel that you're impacted somehow, impeded by the lack of tests already in your experience so far on the project?
Yeah, I have been. There've been a few times where I do the shiny new feature that I want and I release it, and then I find something else is broken, and immediately that's evidence that tests would have been helpful. Yeah. I might actually, just by looking at the logs, might be able to find basically, yeah, in a few places where I notice bugs. I suppose I'm not going to be able to determine that data just from looking at these commits, because what I'd need to know is where did I add a bug, like just after finishing something else.
Right.
So, oh well.
Yeah, it was just a thought. Sorry for the distraction.
No, fair enough. Okay, so let's go look at this console output. Yeah, so I use console output because I don't want to put a whole UI around this data yet, but I know I can get that information from the console, so it's like a lightweight way of doing things. So let's go here. And one thing that is nice, I'm using Tailwind and I get kind of nice responsiveness out of it, which is nice for a non-front end person like me. So this logging here, where I have get before and then post and then get after, that correlates with these this output console logs in these few lines. So let's go look at what get before and get after have for us. So there's 18 files here, indexed from 0 to 17, and the last file to be written was test.json. And then let's see.
Would you mind making the tab, this panel a bit larger, and also zooming in the text?
Yeah. I wonder how I do that. Okay, cool. Is that more legible?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so 0 to 17, 18 files, and a quick check that this is going right. After getting the contents of the drive, I then post a new file. So now I should see in here, there are 19 files. So I've proven to myself that at least writing something is correct. And I suppose maybe a useful thing to do next with this would just be to output the contents of the, let's say, output the contents of the last file, because that's something that I'm going to want in the feature where I load up files.
Sounds good.
Cool. So for that, drive. So now this is going to involve some research, because this get requests, this is just listing files, and I haven't yet actually retrieved a single file. Maybe it's worth just double checking if this object that comes back doesn't actually have the content in it. It does not look like it. It looks like it's just a name and a ID and a MIME type.
So what's your approach for finding that?
For finding the proper request to make.
Finding the proper request to make, but even so, now you had the thought that maybe you already had the information.
Oh, yeah.
What's your debugging approach like?
Yeah, so there I just decided to go back and look at the JSON object that I received in my response, and it looks like each object is just an ID and some metadata that means something to Google Drive, and a MIME type and a name. So it doesn't look like it actually includes the contents of the file.
Which kind of makes sense when you think about the variety of possible file sizes. A list operation probably wouldn't cache also the contents of the files if maybe they're I don't know 10 gigabyte videos in there on top of 1 kilobyte text files.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's go figure this out. So I recently hooked up CodeLlama. This is a local language model. So let's see if it can answer the question about how to fetch an individual file. This is like a local alternative to Copilot, but the integration with my editor is much less what's the word? Smooth than you'd expect from Copilot or ChatGPT. Okay, so let's do, we're going to go Llama ask about. So it's going to include that text that I've highlighted in there. And let's see, about this text, this is how I make a request to Google Drive to list files in the app data folder space. How would I make a similar request to fetch an individual? Let's see how well it does. It may do terribly. And it's definitely going to be fairly slow. You can see it's slowly ticking through there. Oh, well, that's fair. There's a files.get method. Okay.
This approach is fascinating to me. I don't use Copilot or ChatGPT or these tools. I'm much more old school and would either Google or even try to find the official API documentation and sift through that. But like especially having the text scrolling in a terminal, it looks very retrofuturistic, I might say.
Yeah, definitely. I've used ChatGPT especially a lot on this project where I don't know the language well. So it's maybe like knowing a technology well, it's faster at the moment for me to just like know how to do something. I can type faster than I can ask. But working with a new technology, I have much more of like, I know what I want to do, but I don't know exactly how to do it in this language. Okay. So we've got this. Already, okay. Yeah, okay. File contents is a response to body, and then JSON parse file contents. Okay. So let's go back to what we have here. Now, the API endpoints that I have here, I have /drive, like get/drive and post/drive. I don't actually know how to right now with this is a Next.js app, so I don't know a lot about the routing. So I could go and well, even ask CodeLlama again or Google how to create another endpoint. But here I'm just going to hack this. So when we fetch the list of files, I'm just going to also fetch the last file. Let's say.
Nice. Yeah, I have done this before. Worked with or also on a side project, worked with the API routes on the Next.js project. So maybe we'll get to an answer. But I like your streamlined approach. It's not very important how to get it right. You're focusing really on the API side of Google Drive, not of Next.js.
Yeah, exactly. And then embarrassingly, I'm not sure. Like in Ruby, I would do .last, but I don't know if that's a JavaScript method.
What you could do here is
Yeah.
have an array access and
Yes.
and do -1.
Can you do -1 in JavaScript?
I guess so.
We are about to find out.
We have a request to make the font size a bit bigger.
Okay.
Thanks, Chad.
What did I just do? It's only done that for this window. Cool. And let's just go here for now. So, okay, last file, and then we'll just console.log this.
Oh, we have, so on the topic of can we do -1, the answer is nope. From Michael, thank you, Michael. No, but the actual count, please. Let's access the element and do length of array -1. Thanks, Michael.
Like so?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. Wonder what it's complaining about there. Oh, property does not exist. Probably length. Is there a .size function or a? Now we're into Google stuff.
Oh, is it that? So what is the shape of data? You logged it in the console before. Can we look at that object?
Yeah, you're right. So let's go look here. So, oh, okay. So it's we'll have to access .files, and that will be an array.
Nice.
Okay, response.data .files. Okay, but now it doesn't like something there. Response.data.files is possibly undefined. I mean, sure. Thank you, TypeScript. I'll figure that out later. Let's see. So, okay. Of course, there's a crap ton of data. Okay, all right. We've got a Google API error. That's good. Yeah, and it's not really telling us anything, is it? So I think at this point, my oh, that's interesting. So let's put some more logging here just to be sure. Last file. Okay, let's just run that again. The consequences of rampant console logging everywhere and like moving fast and breaking things is it's also not very clean working out what is what. But let's see. Is everything coming back as a Google API error? Because this error is coming from. Oh, okay. I think I understand what is happening here. So this API is running in JavaScript serverland, and I've done something wrong here, and that's making the API responses on the client side, all of them break. And in fact, I think I'm wondering if actually Next.js is either swallowing this console output or maybe it is putting them on the server-side console. So that's what I care about.
Nice.
File not found. Kind, drive file, mime type, application, JSON ID. Reason not found. Okay.
Yeah, because the reason is the computer part or the machine parsable message, and the message is the user-facing message, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's see. File not found. Okay, so here it's this is the output from the list. So let's see if this ID matches the ID down here. So it was like one PDG and an FSK. Well, that looks right. FSK. So I think it's possible that CodeLlama has led us astray. So maybe now it's time to go and actually look at real documentation. So let's go Google Drive API and files.get drive v3 files /file ID. See, now what I'm getting here is documentation of the API as if I was creating these requests by hand, but what I actually want is the documentation of the library that I'm really using. So let's see what that is. Google from Google APIs. So let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That's still the URL still says REST. Is there a maybe it's called something like
Is it
SDK?
the same?
Yeah, it seems like it's the same
Yeah,
URL.
you're right. It is. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Node.js quick start. Set up the example, Google equals require Google API. So this is starting to look similar to what I have now. And
we have a question about okay, so is field not a prop on the file, but also I'm not sure what the goal here is. Maybe it makes sense to step back for a second and reiterate what we're doing.
Yeah, so I have a list of files that come back from Google Drive. And all I'm trying to do right now is get the contents of the last file in that list. And let's see, is file ID not a property on the file? That is possible. So the file is written, let's see, somewhere here. So content, no, this is post. Interesting. Do I not even? Oh, okay. Right. Okay, so I'm getting content in a post body from the thing that calls this endpoint, and then it is writing. Do I actually do anything with content? Yeah, I put it into media. There's a body field here.
So that's your first request, the one that writes the file to the
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah. So is file ID, the next question was, is file ID a property on the file? I don't think so. I can show you what the content of the file was. This is the content that I'm writing to the file. So file ID, I think, is something that Google has assigned to the file object inside Google Drive.
But we have listed the files in that column on the left. You don't have line numbers, so it's harder for me to point to it. But in here, right?
Yeah.
And so files. Yeah, I see. Okay, I get the point. Or maybe I don't get the point. But the other way would be, maybe we can hard code the file ID here because we had them in the console earlier.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's reduce the number of moving parts. Nice. So earlier, I had them in here in my terminal. So let's go up here. Just grab any one of these and throw that into here. Okay, let's see how that does. Okay. Okay, no error. Okay, let's go see out here, last file contents.
Would you mind making this? Would you mind making this a little bit bigger?
Now we're getting into territory that is. Let's see. Okay, I can just do that. Cool. Is that readable?
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Okay, so what I think we have here is an object. Maybe. Well, we can go look at that documentation in a moment. But it looks like we have an object, and outputting this to the console is just showing a representation of that file. It's not actually outputting the content, but I'm expecting there may be a method on this object that I can invoke to get the actual content. So let's go look here, files.get and response body. Response body contains an instance of file. Interesting. resource file, the metadata. Okay. So where is some information about how to get the actual content? Blah, 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 capabilities, image media data, content restrictions. Let's see, content. It's not looking promising. Check some content hints. MIME type. Original file name. You're killing me here, Google. Have I looped through already? Have I been through? This was not. Export. Get a file's metadata or content by ID. Files.get. Okay, so is it possible that what I sent was a, like, is it a default response that only has metadata?
How can we find out what request you sent?
We can look at the network tab here. Let's see. Oh, no, that's only, these are just requests to my API. Okay, let's see, maybe there's something in the console here. Okay, well, that was the, yeah, not giving me any information. I suppose over here, is this an indication of the request I was making, or is that some like indication of where, like some kind of permalink to the response?
I find it puzzling that it's okay. It says request and then immediately response URL.
Yeah, strange. Look, from what I could see here, it seems like this is a reference to the what's the word? This is a reference to, no, that sentence is not helpful. So I'm making requests with a JavaScript library that seems to be quite a thin wrapper around this API. And the documentation gets very quickly, like basically skips the information about the JavaScript stuff and just gives us information about the REST API underneath.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at documentation on my side as well, but it's also linking me to. Oh, there's. Hold on.
We found something.
Perhaps. I'll share a link with you in Tupo.
Nice. Oh, that might open in Safari, but let's try. Yeah. I
Sorry
use
about that.
Safari normally when I'm, that's okay. Okay, this is interesting. So this documentation I have here is for B3 and this is for B2. I don't actually know which of these I'm using. Let's see if we can work that out. B3. Okay.
Okay.
But
I guess you can close that
presumably,
and I'll do some more
okay.
research. Actually, I'm thinking this might be a nice point to have a break.
Okay. Cool.
So when we're back, we'll find the right documentation and then we'll get the contents of the file. But
Nice.
until then, enjoy some music and we'll be back soon.
Cool.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So I asked CodeLlama, and CodeLlama reckons we just have to output response.body or last file.body. So let's try that, and let's see. So we want that window. Cool. Just like so. Let's see. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's wrong. Feels like it's worth a. Seems like it's worth a try. Well, that's not promising. Maybe it was lastfile.data.body.
All right,
Data
so
does
that's
not
interesting
exist.
as well. You're getting type hints, right, from TypeScript?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we inspect the type definitions?
Maybe if I knew how. So let's see. Axios promise. Let's see. Go to definition. Let's see. No, it doesn't like that. Tide references. Doesn't look promising. Yeah, I mean, so we can look at we can go look this thing up if it's Gaxios promise internal readable, and then let me hide this widget. Drive v3.schema file.
I actually found something else. If you
cool.
want.
Yeah.
Hold on. And this time, if you want to open Chrome, I can paste the link in there.
Okay, cool.
Did that work? Yes, it did.
Nice. Okay.
What I did is I looked at the source code of the library, and I'm assuming this is the right client, Google API Node.js client.
Seems promising, yeah.
Yeah, and then I navigated to the drive directory and found the vt.typescript thing.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm not sure what we're looking at, but I thought maybe everything that we need is in here, and it might give us a clue. Shall we look at for file or something?
Yeah. So we've got file here. In fact, sorry, let's look at the thing we were invoking. We were invoking drive.files.get. Okay. So can I go to that? Class resource files. Let's see. Oh, this is the implementation. That's not. Files get, that seems promising. Gets a file's metadata or content by ID. If you provide the URL parameter alt equals media, then the response includes the file contents in the body. Downloading content with alt equals media only works if the file is stored in Drive. That seems promising. Yeah, okay. So how do I include a URL parameter in this? Is there a alt media? Let's go look at that API reference again. Get. Files of get, path parameters, query parameters. That doesn't look promising.
So two things. One is we have a question in chat. Can you share your Emacs config? Do you have it somewhere publicly in dot files?
What I can do that's probably the most helpful is to point people to Spacemacs. So I'm using like a distribution of Emacs called Spacemacs. So we can include a link to that, unless someone wants, so it looks like this. So unless someone wants specific details about like the specific, I don't know, JavaScript packages that I'm using. But yeah, I use this and have it lightly customized. Hopefully that's helpful.
All right. And the second question, actually, we just came back from break. So thanks for the question. What are you folks trying to build with React?
Right. So at the moment, it's the very detailed thing I'm trying to do right now is find a file's contents on Google Drive. The application as a whole looks like this. And this is deck building software for a card game from the 90s that is based on Star Trek. It's sort of similar to Magic the Gathering, if you know the genre. Thousands of cards, and you choose like 100 cards to play with on any given day. That's the application as a whole. But so I want to use Google Drive so that people can save decks that they create and come back to them later on. That's the short answer. Okay, shall we come back to this?
We can. As you were on the top of the page, I noticed something else in the API documentation. It said something about downloading a file. Maybe it was in the files get documentation.
Yes. So let's kill that.
The tab before.
Where was that? Was it?
Yeah, just here for more information. Sorry, it was in here, files.get.
Oh, in files.get. Okay.
Yeah, here it says to download use files.export instead.
Yeah. Well, okay, that was specifically for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides.
I see.
So this is just text that is stored in a file in Google Drive. So
we're getting another encouraging comment. I tried working with Google Drives and React once. It was a nightmare. So it seems like we're set up for success.
Wonderful. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, isn't this the thing with like client libraries? You can go looking for documentation of the API, but sometimes what you need is, well, like you can see what you need to do. Like I just need to add a URL parameter to my request, but now I have a client library in between me and the API. Now I need to know how to use that client library. So yeah, I wonder, is that like, maybe we need to look at overview for how to add URL parameters or something like that. Resource files, metadata. No. I wonder if maybe the source will have this alt equals media stuff referenced here. If you provide the URL parameter alt equals media. Alt data format for the response. Okay, well, let's try that. Which I already had. I already had this written in. And then let's do this data. Let's try this. Last file, body, and let's try this. What I'm thinking about here is maybe the like network, the HTTP requests library that I'm using is returning the response body inside .data. And then underneath that, it could be .body. Or maybe this is, well, I don't know. Let's find out. So we go back to, fill that far even there. Go back here. Okay. And let's see. Hey, okay. It is last file.data. That does look like the body that I hard coded at some point when I was writing files. Yeah, there's the emojis. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so now we know this is how to get a single file. So now let's build an endpoint around this. Oh, let's do one less level of hard coding first. Let's try get the ID dynamically. So now we're back to our response.data. Let's see. So files and get response.data.files.length, maybe -1. Let's try that and see what happens. So no, it doesn't like that.
Was that a -1 or a -1?
This is a -1. I did have -1 at some stage, but fix that. So let's see what the error is here. Google API error. No, okay.
But hold on.
Yeah.
What is in your output? I see 3 lines, and now I forgot which one is the expect. So we have data, body, and data.body.
Yeah.
So can you remind me again what it means? Which
right.
one means?
So these were just things that I was trying out. I'm actually surprised to still see these lines here because I deleted those lines in the code. Oh, okay. I think we were just scrolled up, or we were seeing an older response. So here's what I want to do to simplify this debugging for us. Let's go to the place where why can't I? There we go. So I'm making 3 requests in my drive, but actually at the moment, all I really care about is one of these. So let's get rid of these. And and hopefully this will clear up the amount of logging output that we have to think about. And then that will run this code just once instead of 3 times. So let's see. Okay. And now we just have one request. There's an error, and that's because I'm doing something wrong. It says unauthorized, but I think there's something going wrong before it. Oh, it says invalid credentials. Interesting.
We've been going for a while. Are the credentials maybe scoped, what's the word, limited in time?
Yeah, that is possible. So let's do that.
I'll have unshared your screen for just for a second.
Cool. Should be fine this time. Shouldn't need my. Okay, let's see. Okay, now we have file not found again. So that was exactly it. The credentials had expired. I know there's a refresh token mechanism for the Drive API, but it is not, well, I haven't implemented it yet, so that kind of makes sense. So seems like there's something we're getting wrong here. Files.lists. Okay. Just going to add some more logging output here to help me see. Cool. So we're looking at response.data over here. Let's refresh this and make sure we look at whatever gets printed after list of files. Which is probably this stuff. List of files response. Okay, it is this. So it's this object dot files. And then the last one, and we probably need to pass .id. We've probably been sending the entire blob here in the GET request, because if we look here, kind drive/file mime type application JSON, that looks like the shape of the entire object.
Yeah, it does.
So let's see if this is. Let's try that. Okay. Yeah. Oh. And hey, last file.data, and there we go.
Nice.
Cool.
Very nice. I realize now it might have been what this comment an hour ago from Michael was saying is file ID, not a prop on the file. Perhaps we were not calling the right argument, the right object property.
Wouldn't that be a classic programming situation for you? Like what you said an hour ago. Sorry, I just pushed past that. Well, thank you, Michael. Okay, so we have given an ID object. We can get a file or a string, yeah. And so now it would be great to write another API endpoint. You mentioned, Demeter, that you had some experience with writing APIs in Next.js.
very little, but I've looked at the documentation at least. I believe there's
Ooh.
a special file name format for endpoints that take a parameter. So we might want to look into that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. JS API and let's see. API roots. Pages / API is mapped to API / star. And then parameters. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to end up with possibly even the same handler function in my code, but checking whether there's an IDE object. Is that ready or?
You know what? I might be thinking of an old version of that API that had file path based API endpoints. I don't know if you're using the same.
It is vaguely file path based in that look at the file structure here. In my API file, I have roots that are under auth and then next auth because that's something that the authentication library wants. But so this file defines roots that are available under /API /auth. And likewise, here we have API /drive, and root.ts is handles roots that are nested under API drive. If I created a subsequent directory under here, that would add a segment to the API URL, I suppose.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm confusing the page system and the API routing system. So apologies for that.
No,
let's zoom a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. What are we trying to achieve?
Yeah. Let's see if I create a new buffer. So I want my currently I have /drive /API /drive and get /API /drive is the list of files. Host /API /drive create a file. And what I want to add is /API /drive /ID. Get one file.
Nice. So I continued checking the documentation. I think what you want is the part on dynamic API routes. So how you would transform this. So on the third line, you have the placeholder syntax for parameters that you would find in something like a Rails route file. And in terms of file paths, so these things are nested under the API directory. Am I correct? It's pages API, something like that, and then a drive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I understand correctly, if you created a file named square brackets ID, then .ts, that would be the handler that gets these requests from the third example.
Okay. So like ib.ts like that?
Yeah, that's my understanding at least.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's try that, and I'll copy paste some stuff from this. I broke the file tree viewer. Yes. Okay. So I need yeah, drive root.ts. So let's find this. Drive. I need to be able to do this. And let's see. Get, and I won't worry about the token stuff for now.
Do you want to first check if this is even the right Next.js type of construct? So if we just print a parameter before getting into the Google API stuff.
Yeah. So just return a response.
Yeah. So the example I see is you can then get the parameters. You can destruct. What's the word? Destructure the parameters off of rec.query. So we can have something like. Can I type in here?
Sure. Although I think it's worth just checking if I even have the right path. So just return something static for now.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then, so let's see what happens. So localhosts API that drive /1. Let's see. And this page could not be found. Okay, and then here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what.
Oh, you're returning a string.
Yeah.
Is that what you always do, or do you sometimes write the response? Which API do you use?
It looks like you return a response object. Although I'm not sure about return new response. Like I don't like cargo culted ChatGPT stuff. But yeah, let's just do this. And then instead of this, oh no, go away. And then is it application text or just text? What's the MIME type for?
Plain text, maybe? I'm not sure. Or you could return an empty JSON object.
Yes, let's do that. Cool. Okay, let's try that. Doesn't like that.
Have you tried restarting the server?
I have not. Feels like it shouldn't need me to, but let's try. No, it doesn't like that. Could you load up could you pass the documentation this way? We can read that together. Any file inside the folder pages APIs match the API/star. Okay. If you're using the app router, so I think I'm using this stuff. Root handlers instead of API routes. Yes, okay, this is like the stuff that I've been doing here. root handlers, root.js. Okay. Okay.
Search, I think search params are query params, but I do see a section called dynamic root segments further down the page.
Okay. And dynamic root segments. Ooh, we recommend reading the defining roots page before continuing. Yes, that's what we want. Okay. Okay, and then that's what this thing is about. So we actually create a directory named square brackets ID by the looks of things, and then nest a root.ts file underneath it.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't realize there was a new API for APIs.
Yeah, I think it's experimental, and I got suckered into it because sometime I was trying to work out how to do something, and there was helpfully a line of text about if you're using the stuff app folder routing, then do it this way. So I did the thing that way, not knowing that that was me opting into the weird experimental thing, instead of just like doing it the plain old way. But there was no instruction in that original page that I was reading on how to do things the normal way. Anyway, okay, so we'll do that, and then root.ts. Okay, and then we can copy this. And instead of slug, we can call it ID. ID, and then let's see, is there anything on here? I'll just console.log the ID.
Do you want to call the object field also ID instead of slug? Params dot.
Yeah. What is going on? I'm changing the word. Why doesn't it? Oh my gosh, Emacs is broken. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, yes, create the directory. Sure. Okay.
We are getting a question about, if I'm understanding correctly, if we're more used to Ruby on Rails. Yes, we are. This is why we're struggling with this particular framework.
Yeah. Oh, did I shut down and not? Oh, yeah, there we go. ID parameter 1. Hey. Okay. So now I think maybe it got a 500 back because I didn't return a response. So let's just get a response working. Now, I don't know what I'm talking about in JavaScript, but I don't see a lot of use of the new keyword. So that the way that I've done it here, although it is working, I don't know if this is right. But anyway, it works. So, oh, come on. In this project, I'm very like, this is killing me. My copy pastes are broken. Okay. New response. JSON.string by response. Okay, we'll do this ID and then yeah. And then ID, well, check that ID. I think that should work. Return your response with that. Then there and there and status 200 headers type application/JSON. Why is that asking me for a semicolon? No, it's, I don't know. It says there's an unmatched string somewhere here. There. Yeah. Okay. Like frozen this text down here in my editor in place, which is it's misleading me. Like I have. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, let's try this now. Victory.
Victory indeed. Why does it return it in quotes?
I guess because of this JSON.stringify. Maybe since it's already a string, I don't know. Let's try that. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay.
You have a nice what do you call it? A nice security hole because you're just interpolating the text, which gets whatever comes from the parameter.
True. Yeah. Let's fix that immediately. So now we want to actually do something with the ID now that we have it. So we can go back to here, and I'm not going to try to dry up anything or build an abstraction. I'm just going to copy paste everything from here to there. And let's copy some imports.
I have the impression that one of your panes is has larger text than the other one.
Yes,
and,
that is possible.
The left one might not be as readable on stream.
It's cool. Nice. Okay. So copying and pasting. Let's copy this. Then requests, and I want, where was it? No. Where's the get function in here? There we go. Okay.
I've been looking for the right moment to start answering another question in chat, which is how do you find JavaScript in general? And maybe I can start with my impression. We do use JavaScript in our projects in the browser, but we also use JavaScript in React Native applications. You, Fritz, have done more of the React Native applications than me. What is your impression of JavaScript there?
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, so its position in React Native, uh, which like kind of seems to dominate the mobile space. So it's almost like the language that I use when I need to do mobile work. And yeah, it's fine. I'm getting used to it. I like the like hints it gives me of like thinking more functionally, like abstractions that I don't think about, or like I don't know, just interesting computer science concepts like closure and different things that you do with it, like well, like immediately invoked function expressions. Um, like I see them in people's code. I don't know why they exist, but cool. There's something there that I don't understand, and then that's fun to learn. So I guess that's where I'm at with JavaScript.
Yeah, and of course here we're actually writing TypeScript as well. Does
True.
the
Yeah.
TypeScript in that project help you? We've been ignoring some type errors. I see some
We have.
squiggly underlines in your editor.
Yeah. Uh, uh, I think I think I'm slowly starting to appreciate TypeScript. I don't have a settled opinion on types versus dynamic programming. Um, uh, it seems like types belong in the TypeScript world, and not having types belongs in the Ruby world, and I'm okay with both. Um, some of Yeah, like even people often talk about tooling, and I find that I get most of the tooling things I get from TypeScript are available with Ruby if you know how to set things up with some relatively obscure tooling. Yeah. Oh, maybe this is one big difference. I think what I see is that the Ruby community really likes testing, and there's some things there that I haven't been able to reproduce yet when I'm working with TypeScript or JavaScript. But that's also coming from the perspective of a beginner. I'm sure there are people in the JavaScript world who know how to do testing well.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for the question.
So, this is how to get a signal. Oh, what did I do? I don't know. So, now we're getting files from there. And instead of that, we want to do file ID is just the ID constant that we got up here. Okay. I think something that has irked me. Oh, I've already pasted this before. Yeah. Something that has irked me with the typing, like when we have we've outputted the contents of last file.data, like that variable does definitely exist there, and yet my editor has decided that it doesn't exist. So I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean that there are type definitions for this Google APIs library that I should download? Or does that mean that, I mean, would the convention be for me to wrap the Google APIs library in my own wrapper that's where I write type definitions? I'm not sure.
I have a perspective on this. I think that it's proper to the domain of the library, which is that it does HTTP calls. It does API calls over the network. And so when you're getting a file, you're not only, so you could also not have any data for HTTP reasons, or also you could not have any data because you're not finding the correct file. Or sorry, the file doesn't exist as before.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me, but I'm invoking a method on a Google Drive library. So why doesn't my editor know about the information that comes from that? I don't know.
Do you have a way of getting the type definition of the get method or the get function?
It looks like I have it down here. Resource files.get. But it's not. Yeah, and then it says the return value. Oh, +5 overloads.
Yeah, so it's returning some kind of promise, right? And then
Yeah.
a promise of internal readable, whatever the readable is. And it could be that that readable type doesn't have, or is not guaranteed to have a data field. It could be that it's either something that has a data field or some other kind of object that maybe has an error field instead or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could be nice to figure out. And I guess I don't really know. I mean, so ideally this endpoint should handle cases like that. Like it should be able to say, I don't know, return a 404 if it can't find that data inside Google Drive. I think if this weren't such a breakable toy, I would be thinking about that. But for this, it's just proof of concept, you know?
Yeah. I guess you've been lucky to always get a satisfactory response from the API.
Yeah, yeah. I have actually been impressed with the responses, how descriptive they've been when I find the right way of outputting them. Like we saw earlier, where I was getting a 500 and then I had more information in my server-side console.
So I'm looking at the time, and we have about 15 minutes left. I'm wondering, how do you want to continue, and what should we focus on in these next 15 minutes?
I guess what a nice next step would be taking the contents of the file and yeah, so I guess hitting the endpoint in the browser with a file ID that I know would be good, and getting the response back from the server. And then I don't know if we'll get to this, but taking that list of files that I have and showing them in a file picker window, something like that. Yeah, I think that one is out of reach in 15 minutes.
Overall, do I understand correctly that you would want the user to give or grant access to their Google Drive and then be able to pick the file from there?
Yeah.
Or pick a directory from there, I guess, also for saving?
Yeah, so it seems like each app that connects to Google Drive has its own app data space. And it can allow the user to write data there and read from that data without asking for extra additional permissions. So I'm playing in that space. So it'll always be choose from the list of files that are in the space that my application is allowed to access.
Nice.
Yeah.
So these might be different decks, is it? Or what
Yeah,
is the granularity
exactly.
of what you're saving decks?
Yeah, so it would be a deck. So the list of 100 cards, and then it loads all of those up. I suppose I can show here. So I actually upload. At the moment, I'm uploading from my file system. So just like I was able to upload from my file system here, I could upload from, well, yeah, I'd be loading from Google Drive. That's the goal.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, let's just check if the passing the ID of a file, I can get the contents of the file in the response. So let's try this JSON.stringify again. And so yeah, /drive/ and then what I want is one of these file IDs from earlier. Okay, 500. Let's see what happened. Get reference rec is not defined. Oh, okay. Right. I pasted from the documentation. Cool. So let's see again. Hey, there we go.
Nice.
Oh, hang on, but let's just take this out. Yes, no, that's exactly what I wanted. Yeah, cool, awesome. That feels like a good stopping point. Something achieved. Wrote a new endpoint.
Yeah. So how do you iterate in this project? Do you store things in Git? Do you write tests? Do you what's your process?
Yeah, so from here, I will probably commit that code because it doesn't hurt having an endpoint that nothing calls. And that way I don't have like that code cluttering anything else or have to worry about like what have I done with my stashes or anything like that. So I'd commit that piece and then carry on with working on actually using the endpoint. Because it's just me, I don't do pull requests or anything. It's just YOLO push and Vercel deploys. Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. And when you do a side project like this, how and this comes from my own obsession with commit messages. What information do you include in your messages?
Sometimes I follow a formula of previously some things happened, and then next line, now this other thing happened. Now something different happens. I suppose that would be the body of my commit message, and then the title of the commit message is I'm quite standard about like less than 50 characters, present tense, active voice, like add new API endpoint, something like that.
Yeah, I mean we could do it now. We have time for your commit.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So let's see. I am not going to commit client-side stuff that was being used to test things. So I have this. Nothing there changes what I want to do. I may end up just reverting that. I need to stage this.
Would you mind explaining the tooling again? I'm not. I've heard of Magit or however it's called,
Yeah, that's this.
but
yeah,
I don't understand the interface.
Right. So let's just zoom in. So it's giving me unstaged changes, untracked files, stage changes, stashes, and then a list of recent commits. Oh, and in fact, it's listing stuff that I haven't pushed to origin recently. So what I did there was I looked at the list of unstaged changes. I found the file that I wanted. I stashed it. A cool thing is you can actually stash line by line. So I could choose to stash this and not this, although that does seem like a worthwhile thing to stash because it doesn't do anything. Anyway, so now this is what I have stashed. This, sorry, not stashed, staged. And oh, this was the experimental thing that we got this formatting wrong. So actually, I don't want that. What we want is this. So I've staged this file now. So yeah, it's nice to just see a view of what I'm about to commit, and then I press CC for commit something. I don't know. And I can just say add slash drive slash ID endpoint. And I say endpoint that creates a file in drive. Something like that.
Does it create a file or retrieve a file?
Sorry. Yes, good point. Retrieves based on the ID slug.
And I'm curious, in the exploration that we did before, you started in the listing of files. Is there anything from there that you'd like to keep, or was that all exploration code?
No, I think that's all exploration code. I think I may even have deleted the stuff that when I copied things into here, I may have actually cut them out of that file. That's worth checking. Let's check. Yeah, so these are the only changes from that file where I was listing stuff. But one thing here is I had these nonsense lines, so I'll just commit that. Necessary. Cool. And I think that, so none of my production code is actually using any of these endpoints. So I can just push this and know that it's preserved in the cloud somewhere. No.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you're getting on very well without any feature flags. You're adding new endpoints but not using them yet.
Yeah, that's it. Lightweight. Yeah, I guess lightweight ways of moving in tiny steps. Yeah. This seems like a good stopping point. Any last conclusions or something from your side?
Yeah. So to recap, we've been working on a side project of yours, otherwise known as a breakable toy, something that you can iterate on. It doesn't matter if it breaks, even though it's deployed in production, from what I gather. And this has been an exploration for us because we tend to write Ruby code most of the time and JavaScript some of the time, and you're playing with a lot of unknowns. The Node.js Google APIs package, how Next.js, the framework, works, and also getting to grips with your own ideas about what you want to achieve in the next iteration of your application. So yeah, that's been interesting. If you want to see something Ruby related, Chad Patel, our CEO, is going to be streaming in a few hours. He's in a different time zone, so it works out very nicely. So yeah, that I think concludes it for today. And again, we've been working on a side project now, but we do most of our work on production projects for various companies of different sizes, whether it's a startup or a larger organization. And you can hire us, and you can find information on our website. So thank you very much, Fritz, for sharing your project.
Awesome.
And
Thanks for having me.
have a great weekend.
Awesome. You too.